Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So earlier today Kabam surprised us with the 26.0 update drop, so basically all the happenings of March, and that included two champion spotlights this time, spotlight of Moleman and Terex. So we're going to be doing our best to go through them and kind of figure out what these champions are going to be all about. Now please do keep in mind that this is just kind of like initial reaction. It's very hard to judge a champion without seeing actual physical gameplay. Haven't seen anybody post a discussion on these champions yet, so I'm going to give it my best go there, as well as I haven't seen any footage, so my information here is limited, basically everything that is in this thread. However, even though I typically do avoid discussing the leaked or upcoming champions, because most of the time they are data mined and information is subject to change, in this case, since it has been dropped by Kabam and I haven't seen too much information on these guys going about, I'm gonna try my best to break them down and try and figure out how good they're gonna be, how annoying they're gonna be, and where could they work and what's so good or bad about them. So we're gonna go off and start with Moleman for today's video. So I'm not gonna read the entire bio. Basically, he's a scientist that got, I don't know, banished to middle of the earth for hollow earth theories, but either way, the point is he uses that monster that we can see in the image here, Giganto Jr., as he's fighting. It's kind of like his best buddy, so he's going to be combining his attacks with that dude there to deliver maximum damage. Moleman's mechanics. Moleman makes use of Giganto Jr.'s enormous presence to bully his enemies into submission. Giganto Jr. can take a lot of punishment for Moleman by purifying debuffs and converting them into Monster Mass. Monster Mass allows the pair to counterattack opponents that strike their block. Monster Mass also allows them to withstand heavy and unblockable hits. If Moleman and Giganto Jr. take enough damage and debuff, they both go into a frenzy, causing all hits to become critical hits and blocked attacks to be countered at no cost. So that does sound quite interesting. Definitely the bit where it says all attacks to be critical hits, and so we're going to try and figure out how exactly does he accomplish it, because from past experience, Corvus, we all know that if you have guaranteed critical hits, it's often a quite good time. So base stats and abilities, it's based on a 4-star, not gonna read too much out there. Base stats on a 5-star, 32k health, so that's somewhere around in the middle, I think. 2300 attack, not too bad. Prestige with max signature is 10,490, so he is not going to be a prestige beast, but it's not an awful, it's quite bad prestige. Who we're kidding, that's not a great prestige for a new champion. Character class is skill, which is quite exciting. I did not see that one coming, but hey, so he's going to be a new skill champion. I think that is a very kind of like healthy addition to the skill class, and especially because he also has shock immunity, so he's going to be the first skill champion that's shock immune, I think so. Either way, so his basic abilities include shock immunity, true accuracy, bleed, monster mass, and unstoppable. So he's going to have access to true accuracy, which is also quite intriguing because in my opinion it is one of the most OP abilities that allows you to ignore, evade, and auto block, and that is so massively important now that there is a third kind of annoying mechanic in the mix, which is missing, miss or phasing or whatever you call it. True accuracy, because kind of lost his its OPness, but it still answers a lot of different problems in the game. And bleed and unstoppable. Who doesn't like unstoppable, especially because can't stop, one stop is so annoying. So strengths, he can purify debuffs, are able to shrug off debuffs that are thrown at them. Champions that rely on debuffs as their main source of damage will have to play carefully against Moleman. Basically, don't use debuff reliant champions is what I'm reading here. Unblockable, unblock. That will be annoying on defense. Now that will be annoying on defense, and that definitely, depending on his animations, I think pretty much immediately makes him a relatively tricky defender, or could make relatively tricky defender on there's certain set of nodes and stuff like that. But anything that has to do with unstoppable, we always have to view very cautiously, because it's obviously awesome when we can use unstoppable effects offensively, but also unstoppable is one of the most devastating abilities defensively. Combined with the ability to shrug off debuffs, pretty much throws slow out of the window. So this guy could have some incredible defensive capabilities, which is not something that puts a smile to my face. Guaranteed critical hits during frenzy, that is awesome, as we talked about it, and also extra energy damage on shocked opponents, so he's going to be able to inflict shock and then deal burst damage. That sounds quite interesting. Blocking heavy and unblockable hits. Guaranteed if you have stand your ground mastery, though you do need to remember if you're going to be playing Mole Man and want to rely on blocking heavy attacks. I don't even get though, why would you purposely try and eat, I mean, unblockable attacks, but then stand your ground doesn't really... I do not know how practical this is going to be offensively, because typically with heavy attacks, for most part, you do manage to get away from them in time, and if you do get caught, then it's a very kind of rarely, and it's never your goal or it's never your plan really. And unblockable attacks, stand your ground doesn't really do anything for unblockable, so you're still gonna have a chance to get hit there. So we can see how that works out. Weaknesses, bleed immune because he relies on bleed. Cool. Purify, punishment. Sunspot on Havoc, that's not really relevant in my opinion. It's not gonna be the way to fight him for most part. Maybe it is, but still. And stagger, fair enough. Stagger effects probably will be one of the better ways how to deal with this guy, but we need to remember that he's shock immune. So when we think stagger, now pretty much everybody immediately starts to think Doom, but Doom does rely on shock to get to the staggers kind of to a degree, so that might be a bit tricky there as well. Anyway, so let's jump into his abilities now properly, right? So, shock immunity. Giganto Jr.'s tough monster hide does not conduct electricity, granting him immunity to shock effects. Now, shock is the category, the debuff category we have the least amount of immune champions to. Therefore, adding more shock immune champions, I'm definitely all for, especially considering that many of the current champions that are shock immune or semi-shock immune are relatively subpar Medicore, and there are not too many great offensive champions that are fully immune to shock. Because we have champions that can deal with shock debuffs, but not with passive shocks, like from EMP modification. And this is going to be one of them, right? So that definitely does sound quite good to me. While Frenzy is not active, and Mole Man is below 5 monster mass, Mole Man's heightened senses allow him to predict opponent's movements, granting him true accuracy. Now that is quite cool as well in my opinion, because that means that he's going to be starting with true accuracy, because I assume you can start the fight without this frenzy mechanic and without your prime monster mass. So seemingly he will have true accuracy from first hit in the fight, which is extremely useful thing and ability for champions to have, mainly because there's hardly any champions who can access that effect at the very beginning of the fight. Typically you have to perform some sort of action, like with Corvus you need to get that mission, like with, I don't know, Killmonger you need to land an intercept or punch special attack. With Proxima you need to complete part of her mission, so on and so forth. And all in all in game there's only like Night Thrasher that has true accuracy from the first hit on all the skateboard attacks, so all heavy attacks and medium hits, and Ghost can kind of do that because she prevents evades from first hit of the fight. Does not work on auto block though, but still, so that is quite unique. If I remember correctly, this will be only second champion ever that has access to true accuracy from the first hit in the fight, and that can be really important piece of utility. So that is something to keep an eye out for. Critical hits, 100% chance to inflict a bleed debuff, dealing 879.75 damage over 8 seconds. That's for a max 4-star, I think. So that's good, that's cool. So he's going to be a potent bleeder. He's going to place a lot of bleed debuffs, especially max out precision, maybe add in some critical rate synergy, and you potentially can have a really good time, because yeah, and he should have an ability that makes all of his hits critical, so that would be like a huge damage burst. Deal 938.4 as a burst of energy damage if opponent is suffering from a shock debuff. So you basically deal even more damage for every hit if opponent is suffering from. Right? That's cool. That means he can potentially have a really, really good damage output, because you place bleed, you deal instant energy damage on your critical hits, and then you can somehow get your crits to be guaranteed. So potentially he can be able to dish out a really large amount of damage. Monster Mass passive. 100% chance to gain Monster Mass when inflicted with the debuff. Now that is however tricky and very matchup specific, because in the vast majority of the matchups you don't really get debuffs on you. This has minus 70% chance when fighting mutant champions. Okay, don't fight mutant champions with him. Max 15 stacks, so 15 Monster Mass is a max you can get. Debuffs are purified 1 second after. At 5 Monster Mass or above, this time is decreased to 0.5 seconds. Now that is quite annoying. I do not like that, because if you gain some big bleed or some big debuff, that 1 or 1.5 seconds will be enough for 2 to 3 ticks. Now that will chip down you immensely quickly when you're going up against stuff like Biohazard or Freezer Burn and stuff like that. So I don't know how viable he's going to be as a debuff shrugger offer thingy guy offensively, because that chip damage is definitely going to make itself known and visible. I think it's more so ability that's going to destroy you defensively if you're facing Mole Man, and if you place these debuffs, this is the last thing you want to do, but it's part of his core mechanics. When you're actually going to be using him offensively in a very difficult content, that second or second and a half delay might be a bit too much, because if you eat, I don't know, 3 ticks of like 1000 per tick or 800 per tick, that's a lot of health, and so depending on matchup, that's gonna make him unusable consistently in some matchups, I guess. So we're gonna have to see that. I'm definitely not too big of a fan of the second and second and a half delay. I think that will be really annoying, but on the bright side, that means within a second or second and a half, if you will be able to parry him and punish him, you might end up having enough time and ability to actually use parries against this guy. So if you're using champion like Captain America Infinity War, you should have like window long enough to parry and punish. So we'll see how it works out. Each Monster Mass grants physical resistance. That's cool, makes him tankier. I mean, I say cool, but I mean, it is what it is, nothing special, but it makes him tanky. Block basic attacks grants an unstoppable buff for 0.85 seconds, allowing for an immediate counterattack. Well-timed blocks do not trigger this unstoppable buff. This ability removes 1 Monster Mass. Now that's quite interesting. We can see how that works. It potentially could be useful offensively as well, but it definitely does seem like a defensive trap and a bit of a defensive nightmare. So we're gonna have to see how we can actually fight against this guy when he comes out. Gain 75% chance to resist a block break while at least 1 Monster Mass is active. Adding points into Stand Your Ground Mastery also increases this chance. If the chance to resist a block is raised to 100%, this ability also resists unblockable hits. Resisting an unblockable or a block break removes all Monster Mass. Not really too viable offensively, I think. I don't know, man. Gonna have to see how it works out, because okay, running Stand Your Ground is not the biggest deal, especially if you run willpower, you run suicides. You basically have a choice whether you want to run max physical resistance, max perfect block, or summon perfect block and 2, 3 or whatever points in Stand Your Ground. So if you're gonna be playing Mole Man, it's not the biggest requirement to have Stand Your Ground Mastery, because it kind of fits well in your generic suicide or willpower setups. Now, losing all the Monster Mass might be really annoying, but it also might serve as a way how to remove all the Monster Mass from Mole Man while you're facing him on defense. So that might actually be kind of like a key to countering this guy, is land a heavy attack, get him below 5 Monster Mass, and then he can't go unstoppable or something like that. So that is probably going to be one of the more important aspects on countering this guy. So it's just like a quick kind of like bookmark there, just to remember that. Gain a Monster Mass if a debuff fails to apply due to an immunity. That's fine, that's kind of like Colossus thing. Developers note, when fighting Mole Man, players should be wary of using the parry mastery after he has accumulated 5 Monster Mass. Attacking while Mole Man stunned in this state will most likely go badly. Fair enough, if he has 5 Monster Mass, counter his heavy or something. Frenzy. When above 5 Monster Mass, activating an unstoppable effect activates Frenzy, allowing all hits to be guaranteed critical hits. Frenzy also activates when reaching max Monster Mass, which is 15. So 15 is a max. Okay, so during Frenzy, Monster Mass cannot be removed, but each Mass expires after 1.2 seconds and debuffs can no longer be purified. Okay, so you gain, while you're in Frenzy, you're basically vulnerable to debuffs, which is fine. Okay, let's get that. And because you can control the fight in a way where you never enter Frenzy if you need that debuff shrugging off thing. But then you're going to lose out on your damage, which is a good trade-off. 15 max stacks, 1.2 seconds, means you're going to be in Frenzy for, what that would be, 12 seconds, 18 seconds. So at 15 stacks, 1.2 seconds, that would be 18-second Frenzy duration if you do not replenish them anyway. So 18 seconds is quite a long time though to deal good amount of damage. So he, in a sense, potentially might be delivering his damage kind of like a Captain Marvel movie version, where he has these huge bursts. Obviously, Captain Marvel movie version has the benefit of staying in binary pretty much forever and being able to enter the binary from the very beginning of the fight. So we're going to have to see how quickly he can enter Frenzy and what is his damage potential. But keeping in mind that while in Frenzy, all of his hits are crits. All of these crits inflict bleed, and if opponent is shocked, also energy damage. There is some really good big burst damage potential there. So there's definitely going to be some offensive uses. After Monster Mass falls to 0, Moleman cannot be frenzied for 15 seconds. 15 seconds is like a fair amount of time. It's not too massive, plus you have longer uptime than the downtime, I guess. But that definitely shows you that he's going to be burst amount of damage champion. Because Monster Mass cannot be removed while frenzied, Moleman is able to activate his unstoppable ability when blocking heavy attacks. Players have enough time to retaliate with their own heavy attack once they go unstoppable. Is there a mistake? Because Monster Mass cannot be removed while frenzied, Moleman is able to activate his unstoppable ability when blocking a heavy attack. Players have enough time to retaliate with their own heavy attack once they... Oh, okay, no. So, yeah, okay, gotcha. So you can drop heavy attacks, basically, when you eat a heavy attack or something like that. Cool. Heavy hit, gain 1 Monster Mass. And it doesn't say that you cannot do that while you're frenzied. So when you are frenzied, you're basically going to be wanting to drop loads of heavies, or you just want to drop lots of heavies to get into the frenzy as well. So it seems like he's going to be heavy reliant champion to play, and that's pretty much all you're going to want to do. If frenzied, this attack has up to 17, that's a fairly big attack increase, basically like 80% of his attack or something like that, based on missing health. So he's going to hit harder the lower his health is. I am not a fan of that. But hey, it's some attack bonus. Special 1 Monster Prod Strike. Moleman assists Giganto Jr. for a shockingly powerful strike. Gain 2 Monster Mass. Okay, another way how to gain Monster Mass. Also while you're frenzied. Inflicts a shock debuff dealing 1642 damage over 14 seconds. That's not the biggest shock, but the point of the shock is so you can access the extra damage while you're critting. So that... it's cool to know. Level 1 shock, and then you want crit. Good. Getting Monster Mass while frenzy is possible using heavy attack, special 1 and special 3. This will force Moleman to be in frenzy for longer. Yeah, I've kind of figured that's going to be the point. You're going to try and get into the frenzy and then maintain it for as long as you can to do a huge burst damage and then eventually burn out. Special 2, each hit has increased critical damage rating. That's cool. Drag gains up to 1700 attack rating. That's again like 80% attack rating increase based on missing health. Cool. If frenzied, this attack pauses unstoppable buffs and is unblockable. Okay, that's good to know. While frenzied, each hit on this special attack will be a critical hit. Use this in tandem with frenzy to deal even more burst damage. This damage is heightened even more when Moleman is at max signature. So this seems like the big damage output, but you probably kind of want to... I don't even know, because you want to place the shock to gain that extra damage from all of your crits. So you want to kind of drop level 1, then try to get level 2. I'm not entirely sure. We're going to see how that rotation works, but this seems to be the damage special, like it is with most champions on level 2. Special 3, Subterranean Frenzy. With monsters With monster adrenaline flowing through Giganto Jr.'s veins, Giganto Jr. shows his opponents the full ferocity of Monster's Isle. Cool. Gain 10 monster mass and become frenzied if not on cooldown. Okay, that's fair. Special 3. 10 monster mass, that's additional 12 seconds in the frenzy basically. So that could work well. Signature ability passive gain up to 2566 critical damage rating based on missing health, and gain up to 2346 attack rating while unstoppable based on missing health. Now, I'm not a fan at all of the based on missing health thing, just because I like know where I stand and I don't want to feel like I'm obliged to lose some health, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It definitely does seem like signature ability will be offensively really useful, but won't really change anything because it effectively gives you more damage. And by the look of it, quite a bit more damage based on missing health. So that actually really annoys me about the character, because I really don't like the champions where I'm supposed to get my face beat in, or where I can see the full potential only after I have already completed half a lane or in a quest or something like that. So I don't know how I feel about the signature ability. I mean, I'm glad it's not super essential, because that's what you want from all signature abilities, not to be the core mechanic that holds the character together, but be something that gives additional oomph to the champions. But at the same time, the missing health thing kind of like, I don't know, don't like it too much. Hopefully you get a decent starting bonus and that scaling isn't too horrible, I guess. Anyways, quickly, synergy bonuses, good vibrations, unique synergy, Mole Man, while unstoppable basic attacks have 50% increased critical hit chance. That is cool, that's not bad, I guess. But then again, how long will you be unstoppable typically? But I mean, that sounds like cool. Daredevil critical damage rating while striking stunned opponent, that's trash. I think they already had that anyways. Monster Mass, unique synergy, Mole Man, increases duration monster mass while frenzied by 10%. Now that is rubbish. I was really hoping they're gonna have like a Nick Fury Captain Marvel movie synergy, where these charges get extended like by a full second flat or something like that, but this only increased by 10%. So at the full frenzy duration, which is 18 seconds, you're gonna push it to 19.8 seconds, which isn't a big difference. With Captain Marvel movie, it's about 85% difference in duration for each binary charge, because it goes from 1.2 seconds to 2.2 seconds. Now this makes it from 1.2 seconds to 1.3 seconds, basically 1.32 seconds. So this synergy is incredibly weak compared to Nick Fury Captain Marvel movie. So that seems like I don't know, rubbish one. Abomination, who cares, against a Fury buff, nothing interesting. Man-Thing, heavy attacks are guaranteed critical hits while Man-Thing's unstoppable. Meh, well, you heavy a lot, so that's kind of okay, but nothing too impressive. Fantastic Friends, Mole Man, while frenzied, Mole Man attacks lowered defensive ability accuracy by 50%. That's kind of cool. 50% is not nowhere near enough to be reliable, but against the Fantastic Four? No, never mind, that's rubbish, man. That's synergy rubbish. Yeah, never mind, forget about it. It sucks. Dr. Doom, Diablo, Annihilus Terrax, 20% chance to purify debuff. 20% again is not high enough to be reliable, so no really good synergies, I think. So that means he's not synergy reliant. I guess that's good. The best one is probably with the Daredevil, I think, because you get critical hit chance, and you really want to crit, because the more you crit, the more you bleed. So that's a good one. Recommended Masteries, Stand Your Ground, Gotcha, Liquid Courage, Double Edge. Oh, because you purify them, so that's cool. And then you get 2 monster mass immediately. Okay, so he's suicide super friendly, allegedly. That's cool, man. I like that. Love it. Cruelty, Courage. Okay, gotcha. So that's about it for Mole Man. What I think about Mole Man after this whole long video, I think based on his animations, he might come out as a defensive character. I definitely see there's quite a lot of offensive potential. It's not going to be as drastic as Captain Marvel movie, I think, because you can't have 100% uptime of that. But damage seems to be quite interesting there as well. Definitely seems interesting character, man. He might be a beast offensively and defensively. I definitely see quite a lot of potential offensively. I like the shock immunity because I think that's quite rare. The unstoppable things and purified debuffs do kind of worry me quite a bit, because he might be really tricky to fight against. And if his animations are like messy with projectiles and really hard evades, then I think he's going to be a bit of a nightmare to defend as well. But I think he's going to be interesting. I think he definitely has quite a bit of potential, and I think he is likely to be able to deliver extremely high burst amount of damage, plus the ability to purify the debuffs. I think is going to be really important. I do not like that there's a second and a half delay, but against a lot of different things, I think it's going to work fantastic. So it's up for us, obviously, to wait and see for a champion to be released, but my initial verdict or judgment of the champion is that I definitely think he will not be an awful champion. He's not going to be a Diablo or Ebony Maw. He's not going to be a Korg either, because he definitely has a lot more offensive potential. And he might be a really great defender, but he's also likely to have some really good burst amount of damage. So we need to keep an eye out for this guy, as he potentially might be the crazy new thing. Who knows? We'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you enjoy this type of videos? Should I keep making them for the new champion announcements? And either way, that will do for today. And see ya.